In the previous series, I built this model airport to show you guys how you can build one yourself. And as you seem to quite enjoy the video, I went to the hardware store and got myself a few wooden planks, which I'm going to build a few more model airports on. As it is currently winter, I would like to build a winter model airport with you. I'm going to include every step I took in building this model airport and explain to you guys how you can build one yourself. Let's get started. The first step of building a model airport is deciding the layout that you are going to make. You are going to determine where the taxiways, runways and aircraft stands are. As this airport is going to link up with the other airport I've already made, I am sure that there will be a taxiway. And the rest of the space I'd like to use as efficiently as possible to fit as many aircraft onto it. Therefore I took a few of my models which I in the end also want to display on the airports to see whether everything fits. And as you can see on the video, it was quite a tight squeeze to think of a right and fitting layout. On this edge I would like to create a taxiway, but as you can see on one side the wing is already over the airport and on the other side it almost touches the end of the other aircraft. At the front of each gate I have the requirement that there is a road, and on the road 2 pushback trucks need to be able to pass each other, and a pushback truck should be able to stand in front of the parked aircraft as well. In the end I came up with a design which consists of 3 airplane stands and a taxiway behind them, of which 1 airplane stand will be able to hold either 1 large or 2 smaller aircraft. The other 2 stands will only be able to hold bigger aircraft. Okay, now we have a general idea of how the airport is going to look like, which means we can put a base coat on the plank. A base coat is very important as it ensures a better surface to adhere to, which provides the opportunity for a longer wear time of your color paint. Before we can add the base layer, I use a microfiber cloth and my hand to remove any dust from the plank, and then we can open the paint can, mix it a bit and start painting. After you have mixed the base paint, you can apply it to your plank. I use a big brush that covers a lot of area really fast, which is really convenient, as I believe adding the base coat layer isn't the most exciting and fun part of your airport, but don't skip it because it's a very important step if you want your airport to last and be durable. After I let it dry for the time set on the paint can, this is how the airport looks like. I also gave the other planks that I bought for future airports a base coat, so I don't have to do it again when I make another airport next time. Now once again I will put all the aircraft in the layout that I have in my head. 3 airplane stands which all fit wide-body aircraft, and 1 of the airplane stands will fit either 1 wide-body or 2 narrow-body aircraft, with behind all the stands a taxiway that links up to the other airport I created in the previous series. At the front of the airplane stands I would like there to be a road on which ground service equipment can drive, and in between all the airplane stands there should be space for ground equipment to park. Here I positioned all the aircraft the way that I think it fits best, so I used a ruler to mark out how many centimeters there are between each parking spot. When the space is, for example, 18.7 centimeters, I round it up to 19, so it looks better in my head at least. I also make sure everything is nice and perpendicular to the side of the airport, which I do using a protractor. And after we have done that, I think it's time to apply the real paint layers. For the previous airport I bought 3 different tints of grey. Those different tints I am going to reuse now for this airport. When I bought the different tints of paint, I got a paper on which the color paint is, which made it really easy to lay out the different colors of paint and see where I am going to use the different tints. When I chose what color paint I am going to use where, I put a bunch of masking tape on the airport and started to paint. A big part of the airport I am going to print in a lighter tint of grey. In the end, I am going to cover the whole airport in snow, so it isn't really important how many different colors of paint I'm going to use, because in the end it will all be quite white. When you paint, make sure to apply a thick layer and cover everything well. And when you think you are done, please carefully check if you have actually covered all the area. Now it's time for the satisfying part of building model airports. Okay then, I hope the measurements you just took when you didn't apply the paint yet, you wrote down, because now we are going to use them to mark out the airplane stands, and we'll be sketching out where all the markers and lines on the airport are going to be. I put a dot using a fine liner, which is easy because when you make a mistake you can just remove the dot with your finger. Make sure it isn't a permanent marker, because if you make mistakes, it would be a shame that they would be on there permanently. I put a dot at the place where the nose wheel of the aircraft is located, so I know where the taxiway line will end, and after that I can search for the middle of the two stands, as in the middle the big airplane is going to stand with its nose. Now you put these dots on your airport for all the different airplane stands and places you want there to be lines or markings on your airport. Now we are going to add all these markings. For that I am going to use Uniposca paint markers with a thickness of PC3M. I use a wooden stick to ensure that all the lines are straight. You can also use a ruler, but I don't want there to be paint on my ruler and I therefore use this stick. My tip for adding these markings onto your airport is that you do not hurry and really take your time to put all these markings on there, so you will not make any mistakes because you were too fast. The red line is the stand safety line, and it depicts the area that must remain free of staff, vehicles and equipment when an aircraft is taxiing or being towed into position or has started engines in preparation for departure. Once the engines have been shut down and the area is safe, the vehicles may then cross the line to service the aircraft. It is especially important that the red line is not too close to the airplane engine intakes, which must be kept free to avoid suction dangers. This line can either be solid red or red with a white outline. I chose to make it solid red as my white paint marker doesn't work very well. But anyway, here is the final red marking to be drawn. On video, this is only 2 minutes of me drawing these red lines, but in reality it took me over 1.5 hours to actually complete all the red lines. So please take your time when you make your markings yourself. The red marker we can put away now, and let's take the yellow marker to make the taxiway lines which the aircraft are supposed to follow when they are driving around the airport. Here we have the double gate, which, as I already said, fits either one big aircraft in the middle or two smaller ones on the side. After finishing the taxiway lines, I want to double check whether the aircraft actually fit on the stand, which they do, so luckily I didn't make any mistakes. Now we can make the taxiway line behind all the airplane stands. I measured this one out using the biggest aircraft, which in this case is the Boeing 777-300, and making sure that on one wingtip it doesn't touch the rear of the other aircraft parked on the stand, and on the other wingtip it doesn't exceed the plank of the airport. Adding turns to the taxiway line I always use my hand for, making a smooth and curved motion. Now all the taxi lines have been created, we are going to make the taxiway outline using a Uniposca PC1MR marker, which is a marker with a finer tip, a thinner tip. I think adding taxiway outlines is something which really adds an extra sense of realism to your airport, and it is a step that is sometimes skipped because it is quite a lot of work to add all the lines. But trust me, you're going to love it in the end. I forgot to add the sidelines on the other side of the taxiway. For this you're going to need the yellow marker again. The stripes on the bottom right indicate that the pavement there can't be weak. I added the stripes because I had some space left and I thought it looked cool. So I need to add some cracks to the pavement there as well. But those tiny details are all for later. Now we are going to add the concrete tiles to the airport. These are squares of 2 by 2 cm each. I put 2 cm marks on the side of the airport and I used a normal pencil and a ruler to make all the lines. After drawing a lot of lines, which took me over an hour, this is how it looked like. Just like on a real airport where the ground consists of many small tiles, I created the same effect using a pencil and a ruler. And now we are going to use a piece of cloth. I'm using a microfiber cloth again. that I'm going to rub over the airport. I rub in the direction of which the airplanes are traveling over the taxiway lines, and as the pencil tips have been made from graphite, you can create the effect that there are rubber marks or tire marks on the concrete. I had to push quite hard and rub a lot, but the effect was great. You can always decide to add a bit more graphite to the concrete lines by just going over the line that you just made using the pencil and making it a bit thicker and then rubbing over it again. Now I am going to add the road on the front of the airplane stands. Therefore I am using a white Uniposca marker. The stripes in the middle of the road I didn't use a ruler for to measure out exactly how long they had to be, but I just used some logical sense and I think it looks great. I decided not to add a color of paint on the road because in the end everything will be covered in snow, so you won't really see much of it anyways. Here we go then. I think that we are done with the airport and we can add the snow to it. I'm going to make the snow using a combination of baking soda and shaving cream. First I used this big bowl to mix the two together, but I figured a small cup would be much better. I used a lot of baking soda and just a tiny bit of shaving cream, which gave the best snow for me. I used some spray glue, which was a combination of normal glue and water. I put it in a spray bottle, which I then sprayed on the airport. After which I added the baking soda and shaving cream combination, and I spread it out using a stick. There were still quite big pieces of snow on the airport, so I used a rolling pin which removed all the bigger pieces and stuck everything to the airport. Next I used an aircraft model which I don't really care about, and I used it to create tire marks in the snow. I took it by its tail and I drove it around the taxiway lines and the lines which the aircraft will take on the airport, after which I sprinkled some tiny bits of snow over the airport with my hands. After which I was happy with the result and how the snow looked like. On the edges of the airport I put bigger chunks of snow, as if the snowplow has put all those chunks of snow to the side of the airport. Next we're gonna take the trees and cover them in the snow that we have just added to the airport. I have the cup in which we have the baking soda with all the snow inside, and here I have a couple of trees, and I'm going to use this contact liquid of Revel to stick the snow to the top of the trees. Here we have 7 trees, and hopefully it is as easy as smearing the glue all over the tree. Now I take a hand of snow and I'm just gonna let it fall over the tree, and let's see how that goes. And here we go, that is the first tree done, I think. Now I hope everything will stick to it and we can do the same for the rest of the trees. And that's the second one done. First I have test drilled the hole to check if the size of the handrail is okay, and it turned out to be fine. This is the handrail I'll be using. I got it from Temu. I will put a link in the description to where you can buy it. It's a really convenient handrail and it comes with a lot of different twist drills in different sizes, as you can see here. This is the 3.0mm size, which I'm going to use for installing the trees. So now, here on the edge of the airport where the final gate is and where the road and the taxiway end, I would like to put a row of trees to show that the airport ends there. I'm just going to drill several holes. I have 8 trees. I will put them in a line over here, and if I need more, I have a bunch of trees and enough snow left, so I can install more. But let's just see how far 8 trees will get, and then from there on we will see. So I've drilled a hole, but then the remains of the wood are hard to clear because when I wipe it off, I will wipe all the snow off as well, as it doesn't really stick to the airport that well, the snow. And I think you can see it quite well on camera, but here you have some of the remains of the wood which add a nice brown effect as if the snow has been driven on by vehicles, which I think is fine. Here we are putting the first tree in there. There it is. I think it looks good, so let's drill some more holes, put some more trees in there, and see how the remains of the wood will spread around the airport and see whether it still looks real or if I need to remove it and put some snow back over it. Here we go then. The trees are all installed. I chose for 5 trees only, even though I prepared 8. Here is the taxiway of the airport, and I didn't want to interfere the taxiway with any trees on its side, so I chose to only put trees at the side where the airplane stands are. And I think it looks great with the Delta plane next to it. So I think we're done now. And if we put all the aircraft plus ground service equipment on there, it will result in some absolutely great photos. So let's go for it. Here we go then. This is the airport finished. As you can see, I put it inside in the snow and I believe it looks absolutely great. I am very happy with the final result. Let me know what you think of the airport in the comments down below. And if you have gained any ideas or inspirations after watching this video. And now let's enjoy the pictures. I'd like to thank you all for watching to this video. If you have any ideas what I can do with the following 2 airports, which I already put in the base layer of paint at the beginning of this video, let me know. If you have any more suggestions or things that I should add to this airport, also be sure to let me know. I'm very curious what you think. Thank you for watching. Please consider to like and subscribe as it takes me a lot of time to create these sort of videos. And see you all in the next video.